It's a new year for ChampCar iRacing Series in 2025, but the same great prizes are on offer. Our season champion will have $2,000 of ChampCar Series credit to put themselves in a real racing seat in the coming year. There's plenty of other great prizes and great reasons to show up and participate as well. And this is the official iRacing Series of the ChampCar Insurance Series. We blend the iRaces, the real-world races. Everyone gets to sharpen their skills, bump shoulders with some people you might share the real racing track with, and of course, perhaps win some of those great prizes. To kick us all off, round one is from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We have a new calendar and new formats for this year. Begins with the Mazda MX-5 Global Cup car here on the road course at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. On ChampCar Live and HJBC, we'll be bringing you live coverage of every race this year. I am David Haynes with Devin Peters, Michael Derby in our production to bring you all of the pictures and keep you live and up to date as the season unfolds. Devin, let's take a look at what's ahead of us for this year.
Well, there's no better place to get started than at the very first speedway, and it's going to put on a great show for us tonight. But there's plenty of racetracks worth racing, both in the Real Series and in the ChampCar iRacing Series. Next race will be at Daytona International Speedway on the road course. Of course, ChampCar is going to be there as well. Oulton Park is going to be a little bit of a drive for some of our teams. Close to home for you, though, I think, or closer anyway. Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Will be next up for our fourth round. Watkins Glen International, both tracks that are featured in the real world schedule this year. Then we'll take a trip up my way, go to Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, before heading back down about as far south as you can go to Sebring International Raceway. Also featured on the real world calendar, Barber Motorsports Park, VIR, Mid-Ohio, Brands Hatch, and Road America will round it out. And you might have noticed if you're looking at the screen that we got 3 cars featured this season, including a new one, the BMW M2, Haynes.
Yeah, so that's new. It's slower than the GT4 cars, and it's a real sort of entry-level track day car, club racer car, prepared by BMW. And so they're around the 250-ish to 300 horsepower in competition spec based on the road-going BMW M2. And you see plenty of them around. They're pretty popular, especially in things like the Nürburgring 24 hours and races like that. When you want a factory prepared race car, but it doesn't need to be GT3, GT4, anything like that, the BMW M2 CS Racing is going to be very interesting to watch. And it's 4 outings this season. You'll notice that ends in October. There's also plans for an endurance series at the tail end of the year. That's this one. So 2 weeks apart, 2 weeks apart, 2 weeks apart, hitting up some of our favorite race tracks that often draw the big grids and draw the real enthusiasm. Daytona International Speedway, VIR, Road America, and Sebring, November and December. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. See if you can get some friends or some teammates together and get set to enjoy some more great racing on iRacing. And again, have a chance to win some prizes, keep your skills sharp, and rub shoulders with some ChampCar Endurance Series competitors and other drivers. But of course, with all of that big year, big picture stuff set in, it's time to look at where it all starts here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And of course, drivers are looking to start on a good footing, Devin, because there are points to be scored this year.
Yeah, the Sprint Series Championship and the Endurance Series Championship will be conducted separately. So we're in the Sprint Series right now, and there are points on offer for the top 38 finishers in this series, meaning that at least 11 drivers are going to be going home empty-handed today. Of course, to score points, you got to finish, and for us, finishing counts after you reach 50% race distance. And over the course of the 12-week season, or the 12-race season rather, there's going to be 3 races dropped. So your worst 3 results won't count against your finish. giving drivers the chance to compete, even if they have to take a week off to thrash on their car and get back out to the real world track as well. Of course, the overall winner is going to win $2,000 of ChampCar credit to go towards racing in the real world ChampCar Endurance Series. And as a couple of guys that got our start on iRacing, there's no better path to real world racing than this.
So there's just a tiny bit of time left until the grid is set for the 1 hour race. Everyone will be starting the race with just over 4 gallons of fuel. And of course that means in this 1 hour, you're going to have to make a pit stop to put some more in. Exactly when and how that happens is mainly up to the drivers. Many drivers do have sort of teammates, etc., that they're linked up with here. We'll keep an eye on that, including the Sennhauser brothers here, Logan and Cameron, many others, and many names and cars that will be familiar to ChampCar Endurance Series competitors. So I've definitely seen drivetrainer guys out there. I'm seeing Kruger Tuned, Most Mint Racing, some others as well. Keep across that when we get racing. So almost everyone is sort of done with this qualifying. Here's the pit lane at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a long one, and it's 40 miles an hour pit lane speed limit as well. So it's a long trip down that lane, but it gives plenty of space for everyone on pit road, where there are 40 pit stalls. A few people are going to have to share because it is a ripper turnout for this opening race.
You're going to have to translate ripper turnout for us here, Haynes.
Oh mate, it's a bonza showing. It's it's crikey, It's the vibe of the thing. It's a beautiful view of this beautiful facility that's good for just about everything. Tiny bit of dirt oval in the middle, 2.5 mile speedway, road course, the lot. We're going to bring you the grid in a moment, as and when we can, but we won't hurry it because it's still formalizing itself with a couple of cars out on track there still. And Nick Love is in the runoff of turn 2 there, just messing up Indianapolis's beautiful, beautiful grass. No one out on track, 15 seconds till we change over to go racing. Will be a 1 hour race once again, and starting on the front row is going to be Michael Polasek with Gareth Nyland, Ryan Pucktel and Michael Chase on the next row, then Lincoln Fox and Paul Darling, Jared Collins and Kyle Robertson, JD Daniel and Tim Wire of Team Salins there in 10th place, helmet matching it beautifully too. That's our top 10 of 50 cars. Ian Giebler is going to start from 11th, another sort of vaguely Salins associated driver there. Jordan Butler in 12th from Level 1 Racing, I think. Jordan Probst, Mark Kruger, Ryan Carwile, James O'Brien, Josh Lucas, Aaron Brown, Bowie Suin, and Gene Sirota as the top 20 from a very close qualifying. Colin Lounsbury, Nick Love, TJ Yankee, Sean Roberts, Logan Sennhauser, Alex Patterson, Cameron Sennhauser, Andy Kosick, Christopher Reagan, and Orlando Harrell is 30th. Bill Woods is 31st, Darius Goodman 32nd, and then Kyle Lockrow, Keith Gwinnett, Zach Balthazar, Aaron Reed, Kyler Guillory, Matt McGee, which I want to pronounce as MCG, Steve Hermé, and Scott Grinnell 40th there. And then there's 6 more drivers with qualifying times. So John Nicholford, Cindy Picots, Patrick Pursley, Brian Tidd, Jeffrey Rockwell, and Jason Deal. Noted Ford Mustang FR500S enthusiast Bill Salin did not set a qualifying time. Neither did Matthew Martin, Stephen Schaefer, or Joshua Soto, a race winner from last season, present with no qualifying time. All 50 drivers soon going to line up at those famous bricks across the start-finish line at this racetrack, led by the greatest pace car on iRacing, the Ford Mustang FR500S, 4.6 litres of single cam V8 passion and power and dignity. So in one formation's lap time, we're going to see the green flag wave at the start of this race at those yard of bricks, and it'll be Michael Polisek and Gareth Nyland on the front row. So are there any noticeable absences from the grid? I'm seeing that maybe Logan and Cameron Senhauser, no, don't they look to be on the grid? I thought maybe they were going to do a pit lane start or something had popped up for them. Pace car crawling around on this race start. Pace car speed around here is 45 miles an hour.
I am noticing one anomaly on the grid. Down in 47th place, we've got several-time race winner Josh Soto deep in the field. I think there's a chance he makes some serious ground up today.
Yeah, he is 47th with a little bit of company of Jason Deal, Bill Salen, others around the tail end of the field here.
Beautiful liveries up and down the grid, of course, including this one.
Makes you want to brown some onions and pour some barbecue sauce.
Here, here.
Well, it's some anticipation for us, but some anticipation for all present as well as we look towards a full season of racing ahead of us. Great place to start it.
Yeah, this track always provides great racing, and especially in cars like this. So I'm expecting lots of drafting, lots of overtaking in these Miatas tonight.
Got a bit of a wind blowing from the north. Got some cloud coming over. Relatively cool conditions. So hopefully on this formation lap, everyone gets confident with their tyre temperatures, etc. And at 45 miles an hour, the pace car takes to pit entry. It's Michael Polisek from New Jersey on the pole. Gareth Nyland from New England on his outside. It's a very northeast front row. Ryan Pucktel and Michael Chase behind. I think we're going. I think Michael Polisek's not hanging about, looking for a green flag with 1 hour of racing for ChampCar iRacing Series at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The grid is full. The stands are full. The anticipation is full as they draft and slipstream down towards the big braking zone at turn 1 that will take them off the speedway and into the road course. Round the outside goes Gareth Nyland to try to take some spots away from your pole sitter. Gareth Nyland up into the race lead as Ryan Pucktel also has a little bit of a look at Polisek.
Oh, and disastrous start there for Michael. Going early, it caught the field off guard, but it gave a lot of time for that draft to work its way, and Gareth Nyland took advantage.
Famously powerful in these cars. It's the kind of racing they're known for. Down the back straight we go, heading in towards the chicane S's at the back straight, and that is flying in on the brakes from Ryan Pucktel. Your pole sitter Polisek back into third place, almost overshooting it. Pucktel will drop just back into line there. So will Polisek. Lincoln Fox up into fourth ahead of Michael Chase. Sweeping our way back around towards heading back onto some of the speedway banking. Not too much massive change on that opening lap, particularly in the top half of the field. I think everyone knows that if you can settle into your rhythm, if you can manage your fuel consumption and if you can keep your tires underneath you, your pace in the back half of the race will probably be more important. This first half might be dominated by just the slipstream pack racing. You just want to have your ticket in the lottery.
Absolutely, and you and I have plenty of experience watching these Mazdas roll around a wide variety of tracks, and lately it seemed like the tire management's been more and more of a thing. Getting these tires overheated can really, really slow you down, but it's a long, winding snake, and on this first lap, it's been really clean throughout the field. Just a couple of drivers having mild spins towards the back.
Such a long front straight, so much speed that you carry out of the final corner onto the front straight that we're seeing speeds over 120 miles an hour into the braking zone at turn 1 for these cars, and it's the drivers that are second, third, fourth in the train that are getting that advantage. Ryan Pucktel and Michael Polasek were right back with Gareth Nyland. There's no breaking away in the lead. And then on this modern configuration of the road course, you don't take that infield hairpin, you leap over the curbs flat out, full throttle, and carry even more speed onto this back straight here as well. Very difficult around this racetrack for a leader to get away without mistakes being made from those behind. And that's what we're seeing at the moment. An unbroken train first through to 16th. And then Nick Love being one of the drivers from Love Racing to make some gains. He's in 17th here, having gained 5 spots, leading Aaron Brown, Gene Sirota, Colin Lounsbury and Sean Roberts. Plenty of drivers have come back to the ChampCar iRacing series in 2025 that weren't exactly mainstays of last season, but we've seen them around before, and they're back.
Yeah, on lap 1, there were a couple drivers that found the wrong side of that curb in the middle of the, turn 5 there, and I guess found the slowdown penalty that lurks behind it. So we saw a little break in the field between the top 15 and the next 15, but you couldn't ask for better racing so far.
Joshua Soto watch. He's from 47th on the grid to 36th in 2 laps. And maybe make that a couple of others, as that looks like he's going to try to go past Orlando Herrell. Got Steve Hermé behind. So this is a bunch of drivers here that have done ChampCar iRacing series before as well. So Orlando will know exactly how quick Joshua Soto can be. He puts his white car just in behind. New colours for Joshua Soto. We've got to get accustomed to this orange and white.
It's a good look, I got to say. I appreciate it.
Makes me want to eat Stroop waffles and subscribe to Ziggo Sport. So, yeah, interesting new livery for him. Used to seeing him in sort of black and white or black, white and red in previous years. Now he's got ahead of Herrell. He's going to try to hook onto this train of next cars and continue to sort of swim upstream like a salmon ready to spawn here. So that's what Joshua Soto's got ahead of him. Many cars still ahead of him in the 30th-ish position for him. Further up the road, this is the race lead. Nyland being pushed by Pucktel a little bit. And it remains an unbroken train for the leader. That's how these cars work. Yeah,
and interesting to see Pucktel finding his way past Polasek there. So Polasek, after the qualifying effort, the only car to find his way down into the 39s, has decided to drop back a little bit in this early phase of the race. Of course, we'll have a pit stop out here today, and so saving a little bit of fuel might be the name of the game by the end of this thing. Pucktel is not going to waste any time, though. He's going to the front.
Yep, he gets his nose in front, I think. Gareth Nyland kind of just lets him have that one a little bit. And Ryan Pucktel goes to the lead of the race. Kyle Robertson picks up the fastest lap of the race. And where is he?
I'm way down the order. I can't find him.
Okay, nice. So he's at the tail of this group. I was looking too far afield for Kyle Robertson, but obviously, yeah, closing in the elastic band of the power of the toe around this racetrack. Has him motoring along, looking like a chance of a top 9 breakaway here, to be honest. Ian Giebler and Tim Wire are well familiar with each other in 10th and 11th, though, so some teamwork could make the dream work between these guys. And Jordan Probst, Ryan Carwile, James O'Brien, the drivers in behind them as well. Now, I think there's a couple teammates. I think Probst and O'Brien have got the same pattern on the hood. I'm not sure if they're teammates or not. Definitely Probst, Lucas, and one of the other drivers that we were talking about earlier, whose name suddenly escapes me now that it's important to get it right.
Yeah, they're racing with Private Label on the hood of the car. And I'll let you know once I figure out some public information about the Private Label.
I think I've lumped James O'Brien in with some other people. Unfortunately, I think I've made that mistake. About another lap complete here. Now, this modern configuration of the road course, you cut out the infield hairpin, it's fast on the front straight, it's faster on the back straight. You really do click off the laps quickly. We saw it's barely over 2 miles, this road course. So they're getting around lap times of 1:40 and 1:40.379 if you're Jordan Probst. So he's in that second group. If he's quick, Giebler and Wire work together. Not a foregone conclusion that they make this top 9 pay if they begin to trip over themselves somewhat.
Well, and Giebler's a race winner in this series. He's got at least one in the past. So
my question to you then, does he have a race win in a rear-wheel drive car?
Giebler was one of the drivers disappointed to see no front-wheel drive cars on the schedule this season.
He says, "Give me a Volkswagen."
Be hard pressed to say.
He says, "Give me a Volkswagen Jetta or a TCR or a Renault Clio Cup car or something, a Kia Optima maybe." Unfortunately, he's not got a majority opinion there, but he was very strong in those types of cars. Not that he's looking weak here. Jordan Probst goes ahead of Tim Wire. I think Wire either picked up a slowdown, had a little problem or something. He's going to go side by side with Probst. Another one of those places where you kind of get tempted to bounce over the curb, but this isn't a car that's great at doing that.
Giebler's a guy with plenty of sim racing experience. Says his real-life autocross Miata is about half the price of his current sim rig. So I think he's pretty invested in it, front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive these days. They're too wide.
Yeah, Tim Wire's going backwards. Probst has gone by. Now Ryan Carwile's looking down the inside of him into turn 1 and gets ahead. If I knew my American sports, I'd know what cheer to give him making that move, but no idea, other than maybe he wants to enter Sandman.
As the resident Canadian, I'm also out of luck, but our producer is shouting things about hooky, so I don't know. Let's go.
Fantastic. So Joshua Soto watch is now plus 20 positions into 27th on the tail of this train. Got Bill Woods that he's now side by side with. He's helped by Joshua Lucas pulling out of the toe in front. It's a double draft to be had into this sharp braking zone with the tight version of the chicane, and that looks like Soto will just squeak ahead of Bill Woods to be plus 21 positions in this race and join the train behind Lucas, Cameron Senhauser, Alex Patterson, etc. Bit of a train going on here, and yes, you can tell Joshua Soto probably deserved to qualify inside of the top 5. Maybe he had some other arrangements and he was a little bit late.
Yeah, he joined the session about 2 minutes before the green flag dropped, so didn't see him quite get around for a lap rather.
Oh no, now there's contact for him in the penultimate corner. He's facing sideways, not backwards.
Just waiting for a clear spot to get back going again. And that's a heartbreak for him. We'll see it here. He churns in and makes it almost work, but gets a lot of curb, and on the way back, the vortex of doom catches another one.
Yeah, so a bit wide, a bit slow for Joshua Soto, and Alex Patterson thinks he'll get back down the inside. Gets Joshua Soto in the rear quarter panel, and Joshua Soto's stocks were down low. They came up, they've come back down, unfortunately for Joshua Soto. Up front, all the way at the top of that figurative stock market, is Ryan Puchtel with Gareth Nyland, Michael Polasek. But look at these other drivers that haven't been part of this battle for the lead, battle for the win, but have always been part of the train Lincoln Fox, Michael Chase, Paul Darling and Jared Collins racing exactly where they started. I don't think there's been much movement from them. JD Daniel and Kyle Robertson on the train as well. The way that this racing often plays out, that's not a bad place to be. It doesn't matter whether you're in the first class carriage or the coach class standing room carriage. If you're on the train that's out front, you're in a good place. I stretched that metaphor a bit too far, but I think everyone gets the idea.
Yeah. Big train enthusiasts here, they're on the same page. Jordan, though, is making his claim to the front end of the second train and trying his hardest to get on the back of Kyle Robertson. But there's almost 4 seconds gap between this first train and the second one. We'll have to see if he can do it. It'll be an impressive drive if he manages to close that up.
Yeah, the issue they got is they have just lost half a second on that lap and have been losing a little bit of time to the leaders on the previous group. You see that Jordan Probst has got to the front of this group ahead of Ian Giebler. Tim Wire still just a couple cars back now. So they're settling in for a good run here, but it looks like that leading 9 increasingly stretching away.
It's tricky. I mean, Puckdale's putting down quite a pace. What are we going to see here, Haynes?
A spin for Zach Balthazar.
Oh, and a sympathy spin behind him. Oh,
okay. Well, good thing I can see a couple of recovery trucks back there because there's a few spun cars there and trying to. You don't know exactly if you're parked on the racing line or which way to turn, and maybe turned the wrong way and caught out Josh Soto in that.
I got Zach Balthazar. I got Zach Balthazar, Orlando Harold, Sean Roberts all involved in that one, as well as Keith Gwinnett, who managed to dodge it, but still lost some time.
It's Jared Collins here in the proper British police MX-5. I saw a picture. It was Victorian Highway Patrol in Australia had a NB Mazda MX-5 in 1996. 2 police officers in it. Look way too big for 2 of them to fit in that car. But there's heritage to that.
It looks like when I sit in a Mazda Miata, unfortunately. But yeah, this front group seems to be pretty satisfied with just running in line. We're not seeing a whole lot of overtaking at this phase of the race, and guys are giving each other space, running clean. One driver, go ahead.
I was going to say fastest lap of the race still belongs to Kyle Robertson. Lincoln Fox and Michael Chase maybe at risk of losing your top 3, maybe at risk of getting away from those behind. I think it'll probably close up again at some point. There is just a little bit of time, 0.7 of a second between Polasek 3rd, Lincoln Fox in 4th.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Fox plenty quick. We see him in our other series, Spec 5, that races these Miatas pretty regularly, and we're starting to see a little bit of the lap traffic leaking back into the picture. That was Jason Deal facing the wrong way out in the grass. One driver I wanted to shout out in this top battle pack is actually JD Daniel. He's right at the back end of it, in 8th place right now. But I hear that JD Daniel was the winner of the Indy 6 Hour. doing good things in the real world, doing good things on the virtual track too. So new to this series, we'll have to see how he does.
Yeah, starting to see this top group spread a little bit, if I'm honest with you. It was sort of first to ninth, it was kind of 2 seconds. Now it's almost 4 seconds. There's a few more car length gaps in between.
Do have a little wondering if some of this lap traffic might help a little bit. You got to get around it, but having a drafting partner might help close up some of these gaps.
On board with Nyland in second place. Yeah, looking for that 300 board.
Still the same as when you were there, Haynes, eh?
Yeah, I think I was coast from the 500 board, break at the 300, 250 if I really needed to get down the inside of someone.
Yeah. Feels good to have the best handling car going into that corner. Coming out of the last one, it sucks a little bit.
It's great when you see someone else have to break at the 500 and you're like, I got 200 more feet. I'm so going to get you. So, yeah, Bucktel's pushing the pace up a little bit, perhaps. And for everyone else, they'll understand the benefit of saving a tiny bit of fuel if necessary. Eyes on some of that traffic, perhaps. What you don't want is to be a big clump of cars that are that you catch that are going to go a lap down. If it's sort of one here, one there, we've talked about how powerful the tow is, the high average speeds here. You know, if you don't get him on the front straight, you'll get him on the back straight. And then if you don't get him on the back straight, wait 3 corners and you're on the front straight again. So...
yeah, always a good opportunity for a run out here. Bill Salen giving Ryan Pucktel a bit of a draft off the front here.
He was telling me how he thinks grilling hot dogs is overrated. You should just microwave them, as he pulls aside and lets the leaders through.
Oh, we're going to get sued. We are going to get sued.
Great friend and partner of ChampCar, and great friend and partner to Watkins Glen and that region of the US where they love Salen's hot dogs and products.
I'm getting a good look at the side of Gareth Nyland's car, running that Cannonball livery. Love that.
So this top 9, a little bit of a holding pattern at the moment, spreading out a tiny bit, but we're still some time away from any of them needing to pit. 1/3 of the race complete. No one in your front group has pitted yet, because that means 2/3 of it still to go. Some battles elsewhere in the field, like Joshua Lucas, Kyle Lockrow. Kyle Lockrow then got his teammate Darius Goodman in the same battle in sort of 22nd, 23rd there. Looking at this group here. So that's Lockrow, green, blue, red. Colin Lounsbury just behind him. They think they're going around Jason Deal, and no, yeah, Darius Goodman getting escorted a little wider than he wanted.
Goodman, new to the series this season, but having a lot of fun racing. Big NASCAR fan, so probably enjoying his experience here on the track. You know, I got one driver we got to shout here, Haynes. 27th place, Matt MCG. And, I just got to shout him out because he is our leading Canadian in the race. And, real big fan of my countrymen coming out and doing well. Stephen Hermet's falling behind him. Haynes, where's the top Australian in the field?
Currently securing all loose items in their backyard and making sure anything in their underground car park won't flood.
Okay.
As tropical cyclone Alfred prepares to make things a little too spicy. Gee, he's going to pick up a spot. Cameron Senhauser, I think it was, losing control of the rear of the car, spinning around. Did I get the right Senhauser?
I think you did. Yeah, that's a blue Senhauser right there. That's Cameron. And getting that little snap oversteer from catching a little curb. You're right.
Top tip for avoiding spinning cars: aim for where their rear bumper is, because the very nature of a car that is spinning means that by the time you get there, their rear bumper will be somewhere else. If you aim for where they are now, then maybe they won't be there. If you aim for somewhere that they're not, maybe they will be there.
Speaking of where people were and aren't now, our top three are starting to break away. Lincoln Fox is kind of doing everything he can, but a little bit of lap traffic going into turn number one has created about a 1 second gap, and this could be a moment here where Michael Plasek, Gareth Nyland, and Ryan Pucktel are able to pull away.
Yep, a bit more space for your top three now, as you're seeing a couple more cars look to pit. You might see a few of these guys look to pit. Nick Love, we saw on the lane, but Steve Schaefer also in. Andy Kosick, Gene Serrata, Sean Roberts, and Aaron Reed have all been through. Some of them with damage, but some of them it's just looking like pitting in time. There it is. You just go wide through the penultimate corner and you're on the pit entry. Not for any of our leaders this time, though. If they've got a relatively clear track in front of them, I think they'll want to stay out. If you come out of that final corner and you look down the front straight past the yard of bricks and you see lots of cars that are about to go a lap down to you, you think, maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll take my pit stop. The car that they can see is number 50, Andy Kosick, in the mintiest car that ever did mint.
Famously minty.
Famously B-class race winners here in 2019. By famously, I mean Andy Kosick shared some pictures the other day. Of course, the most mint racing Saturn had a pretty chunky rear wing on it. These cars do not, and that's where we're seeing all of the movement from the rear of the cars.
The first driving sim that figures out how to model, bolting weird stuff onto the back of your Saturn, it's going to be a real winner.
It's Tim Wire and Ian Giebler look like they've pitted together. Something we hypothesized was possible.
Good buddies and teammates, those two.
Everyone needs a good buddy, but Tim Wire looks like he's getting 4 new tyres. He's somewhat delayed compared to Ian Giebler in terms of getting out of there. That's a pretty significant stop time. He's going to end up behind someone, Brian Tidd, who's been getting some damage repairs done and is a lap down.
They might all be a lap down soon. Ryan Pucktel's
doesn't know where
down the front straight.
And where his pit lane speed limiter button is quite either.
Yeah, you don't have those on the average Champ car, but these ND Miatas are pretty sophisticated these days. Sequential gearboxes.
So just set your first gear rev limiter to 25 miles an hour.
I think they discourage messing with the ECUs in the MX-5 Cup. I wouldn't know, though.
Because you've never been caught. Carl Lockro's also pitting. Our top group are back together though, and oh, there is some traffic for Ryan Puchtel, the race leader.
It only suits in ChampCar that you got to know how to get through a little bit of lap traffic.
It was Brian Tidd, wasn't it? Who was on his outlap. You spoke about exactly where he was rejoining after his stop. The top three in the same order still. Puchtel from Nyland, from Polasek. It just means that Lincoln Fox and Michael Chase have gotten a tiny bit closer. Paul Darling, Jared Collins, JD Daniel going to have their work cut out for them. And Kyle Robertson has dropped back from this group closer towards Jordan Probst.
Yeah, the two of them are neck and neck. And only about 5 seconds back from that leading pack, so still losing a little bit here, a little bit there, but definitely not as much as they were earlier in the stint. And in fact, this time by, I'm curious to see. Yeah, they even gained a little bit that time.
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of a checkup from the leading pack through the back chicane and maybe in a couple of other little places as well. And something that stalls your momentum is hard to come back from, so it costs you a bit of lap time in these cars. There's really only 3 significant braking zones around a lap here, maybe 4, depending on exactly how you look at it. Bowie Suin, Josh Lucas, Darius Goodman. I'm seeing a couple of drive trainer cars come in now as well. So Kyle Robertson's one of them as well, running in that 9th.
A 1 hour race, not a bad strategy to split it down the middle. Our leaders are glued together in this lead battle pack, so I think it's going to be who blinks first type of thing and who saved the most fuel.
Yeah, they're looking like pretty long pit stop times, aren't they? I'm seeing stationary time in the box exceeding 30 seconds, which that must be the guy's got to go reach for another fuel jug type territory. You're going to see Gareth Nyland split off from the leaders. Puchtel and Polasek carry on. Gareth Nyland in. Now, he was in that sort of second and third position, in the second position most of the place, so may have saved a little bit of fuel, definitely probably more than Puchtel did. So he's rolling down pit lane looking for his crew. Of course, if you qualified inside of the top 10, your crew are going to be all the way down towards pit out. It's a lot of rolling at the speed limit and then looking for where your people are at.
Yeah, the only good news is that it's not going to be 110 degrees Fahrenheit while you're walking down there. Currently 69 degrees in the simulator and 72 on the track.
That's much nicer. Significantly nicer. And these cars are a little bit more open top than the ones you and I may be used to. Puchtel's going to look down the inside of Andy Kosick here to try to put a bit of gap, using the traffic, try to put a bit of gap between himself and the rest of the drivers. So this could be the advantage for Ryan Puchtel to really break away. If this becomes his in-lap and there's a tiny bit of traffic between him and the rest, Polasek's not going to let it go too easily. And here is Nyland's stop done. 34 seconds, the stationary time. About what we're seeing from everyone as we cross the halfway point. 30 minutes of racing done, 30 minutes of racing to go in the first race of ChampCar iRacing Series for 2025. The strategy is only just beginning to unwind though, Devin Peters.
Yeah, Puchtel hitting the lane this time and Lincoln Fox right behind. The two of them racing down to the cones and even Lincoln Fox cutting the corner a little bit. We got Paul Darling and Jared Collins from that lead group, as well as that looks like JD Daniel is out of 9th place. Daniel, singular. The 5 of them are in the lane. 6. And Jordan Probst and Kyle Robertson behind as well.
Yeah, it's JD Daniel, not Jack Daniels, which is what my old housemate's bloodstream was made of. You've got almost everyone pitting except that top 2 of Polasek and Chase. And so here's the run down lane for Aaron Brown. There's Jordan Butler. The level 1 racing guys unfortunately lost one of their drivers to cancer recently. It was John Wilding, who I had met at Sebring. So for them, that's very tough, and our thoughts are, of course, with them and the racing community that knew him. They had a big TV at their pit stall at Sebring, and I went wandering down the pit lane at night. They had F1 qualifying on. I stopped by. They called me Mr. iRacing and gave me a beer. So good folk in racing.
They're coming out the pit lane now. Gareth Nyland's coming down the front straight, and he's flying. We'll see where he rejoins from second place. I don't know. This stop or this lap by himself seems to have maybe cost him. Nope, it doesn't. Ryan Pucktel just ahead. But interestingly, somehow Paul Darling, Jared Collins, Lincoln Fox, all of them out ahead of him. So big shakeup at the top after the stops.
I'm seeing a lot of 28-second stops, and I'm seeing a lot of 33-second stops, and I'm thinking this is a, gee, do I need that last half a gallon or not type situation. The two Michaels on the lane, Polasek and Chase.
Naturally, Chase following Polasek.
Of course. Chasing's one thing, passing is another. So this is important laps for Fox, having stopped a little earlier than the rest to really try to maximize. The service is only just beginning for the others, while you see Fox negotiate what's functionally the final corner for these cars. You get full throttle and you hold it through this corner. The car I drove here was full throttle through that corner, but I had to reach for a gear shift in the middle of the corner. I'm pretty sure that did my shoulder. Was just fully loaded lateral G's on the car, reaching across for the gear shift every lap for 4 hours.
Lincoln Fox isn't going to let something like gear shift slow him down, though. He's coming into the first turn with a little bit of momentum, but despite a fast out lap, he's going to be a few seconds back of Michael Polasek.
Oh, drama's back in the turn 1-2 chicane for Lincoln Fox, who's around in the runoff of turn 3. Just as we looked at the lead Michael Polasek had on the rejoin here, a lot of curb through 1, through 2. The rear begins stepping out, and off you go. Just too eager. Perhaps some new left side tyres going on there as well, or something for Lincoln Fox. The balance not what was expected. Collins and Darling around the outside of a tiny bit more traffic here as well. It's all good news for Michael Polasek as he has a 5-second lead over Michael Chase. This is third and fourth there with Jared Collins and Paul Darling, and some really quick drivers in 5th, 6th, 7th with JD Daniel, Gareth Nyland and Ryan Pucktel. They were almost 10 seconds behind the race leader, Michael Polasek, who has been watching and waiting for the first half hour of the race. Now he's struck.
Yeah, running in a few car lengths back seems to have served him, saving a little bit of fuel in that early stint, maybe saving a couple of tenths a second. Oh, Patrick Pursley's really close there with Paul Darling as he comes by. But yeah, it really seems to have worked out for Michael Polasek at the front end of the field. And we'll see if he's able to hold that gap to the end. But the qualifying pace would say he's got it. Let's see if he's got it for another 20 minutes.
It's Pucktel and Nyland side by side back there as well. So Pucktel gets ahead of Nyland. Ooh, and they just get around. It's not easy right now. There's Mark Kruger. 1 lap down to these guys.
Yeah, there's lap traffic battling with each other and not wanting to leave a lot of room. And it's always tough when you come up on someone else's battle. Pucktel making relatively short work of it, though, and creating a hole for Gareth Nyland behind.
Paul Darling with the inside line on Jared Collins. And there's Pucktel and Nyland working their way through into these S's. Final change of direction. All of this concrete on the inside of that corner, that right-hander that you can take. then the corner just keeps going on the exit, and it's so easy to get a little bit wide, get on the grass, and lose a lot of time there. Got to stay within the track limits and sort of pop up onto the banking here into a sharp right-hander. Hearing some people say you want to stay right of the curb so you get the full to the right-hand side of the racetrack to open up what becomes really the final corner onto the front straight. So some different lines to take through there depending on which part of the racetrack you're trying to optimize. I wouldn't follow a car that's flashing its brake lights, and neither would Jared Collins as he pulls through. Paul Darling has a new fastest lap of the race. Polisek's lead is still 6 seconds though. He's not hanging about, but neither apparently is Paul Darling.
Yeah, big draft and a big push there. So definitely some interest from Darling to turn this back into a 3 or 4 way battle on the podium, at least at this point. And we'll see if this group is able to make it work. The traffic's making it tougher and tougher for these guys to gain ground, but you got to think that a drafting pack is going to have more pace than a solo car out front, right?
Yeah, and then does Polisek need to engage a little bit of fuel saving, which will be difficult to do by himself, whereas if someone like Jared Collins suddenly goes, gee, I think I'm about quarter of a gallon short here, then the saving could come pretty naturally behind Paul Darling and Michael Chase. Noting that Polisek had an incredibly short pit stop compared to those around him, but obviously spent the first half hour saving. The thing is, sometimes I see these short pit stops and I go, did you get to that stop number by saving in the first half, or do you get to that stop number by saving in the first half and still needing to save in the second half? And if that's the case for Polisek, yeah, we might see in the final 15 minutes those other drivers just start to get a little bit closer. Chases the driver in second. Zach Balthazar's all the way to the pit wall side on the right, and Darling is back engaged in the Mississippi River Tug position.
Paul Darling knows how to give a push, that's for sure.
He's the darling of the inland waterways as well. So it sends a message as well, like, I'm here to work with you. Here's my, peace offering. Extra 2 miles an hour down the front straight for the both of us. Please reciprocate, or I'll stop being so nice here as well. So it's the first step of the negotiations. It's to say, I'm willing to help. Are you willing to play this game with me?
Mm-hmm. Well, and we'll see if that sticks around once Jared Collins gets to the rear bumper of Paul Darling, because he seems to be getting closer and closer. It's easy to push in a tandem. It's a little bit tougher to do it in threes.
So let's sort of work our way through, I think, shall we? So we've talked about the leader and then the next three. Ryan Puxell and Gareth Nyland obviously showed an immense amount of speed in the earlier stints, but their stops have been on the longer side here in 6th and 7th position. There's Lincoln Fox doing a tiny bit of mowing out the penultimate corner, pushing hard, trying to catch this group, but somewhat adrift, unfortunately. Carl Robertson and Jordan Probst are completing the top 10 at the moment. Here they are.
Mm-hmm. And still about 2 seconds behind Lincoln Fox, or 4 seconds behind Lincoln Fox.
Ryan Carwile just behind 11th. Again, probably keeping a close eye on what's happening with Robertson and Probst ahead, hoping to catch them and pick up some of that very, very valuable slipstream to be found here at Indianapolis on the road course. Then James O'Brien, Ian Giebler. O'Brien been one of the big gainers, +4 in this race. Works his way through the traffic. That's harder for Ian Giebler to do.
And that's a bummer, but coming up on some lap traffic, and I think Jeffrey running a little bit wider of an entry than Giebler was expecting.
And here's Jordan Butler and Aaron Brown. Not much to separate them.
Yeah, Aaron Brown's got a nice looking M&M livery there.
Makes me want to eat Maltesers. So what else? Who's next down the order? Nick Love here, 16th. Bowie Suin just behind him. You see in one of the drive trainer cars. Then, back here, Andy Cosick, Tim Wire, who had that long stop, but probably pretty quick right now.
Yeah, looking like it on the timing screens.
Joshua Lucas just behind there in black and yellow as well. So Wire and Lucas, I think, are a bit faster than their positions show. In behind Andy Cosick here as well.
Now, Wire in particular, 39-second stop.
Well, we saw what looked like 4 tires going on for him as well. So that's going to be lengthy on a car like this. Next through the field, Logan Sennhauser, I think, is ahead of his brother at this point. 21st for Logan. Colin Lounsbury, 22nd. Is that the Indy 500 scheme from the guy, the NASCAR man?
That's a big pull. I'm not sure.
Kyle Larson. I think it's definitely a Hendrik Kyle Larson thing, whatever it is. Let's keep rolling down through the field of who's running at this stage as well. It's Bill Woods just behind in 23rd, Kyle Lockrow 24th.
Big change here, Haynes. John Sirota leading the Canadians in 25th.
And I say good for Gene with Sean Roberts in 26th, just ahead of Matt MCG and Keith Gwinnett. So that's 3 in a line. Bit of space goes then to Darius Goodman, ahead of Aaron Reed and Orlando Harrell. Very colourful from Reed, but a bit wide from Reed. So Harrell will look to get ahead and will do so. TJ Yankee in 32nd. Steve Hermes, your next Canadian, there in 33. And then is this a string of Canadians with Nickelford 34th?
Yeah, they're a little gang forming up. Very polite gang.
Sennhauser 35th. Mark Kruger's back in 36th. And Kyle Guillory. We've got Patrick Pursley. So we're into drivers who are 1 lap down. Oh, Christopher Reagan gets ahead of Patrick Pursley just as we're looking. It's never boring, is it? Zach Balthazar also gets ahead with just that little time loss. Also 1 lap down, Stephen Schaefer and Jeffrey Rockwell and Cindy Pickett.
Yeah, and a couple more cars. Brian Tidd, Bill Salin, and Jason Deal still out lapping. It really goes to show, though, it doesn't matter where you start and where you finish in the ChampCar iRacing series. There's always someone to race with. And one of the fun things about the series is that there's always a prize available, right? As not only do we have the first place $2,000 Champ Buck prize going to the season-long winner of the points, we also have 3 mini-season draws. And so if you come out and participate in rounds 1 to 4, rounds 5 to 8, and rounds 9 to 12, and you finish at least 50% of the laps in each of those races, you're going to get entered into a draw to win 250 Champ Bucks just for coming out and hanging out with your buddies and driving a virtual race car. There's no better deal, Haynes, I gotta say.
Devon, with 11 more races and then an endurance season to come. Is it too late for me to join the ChampCar iRacing series in 2025?
Not at all, David Haynes. There are 3 drop weeks in the points season. So even if you missed the first round this week, if you're looking at this thinking it's a good time, thinking, hey, I could be like Paul Darling overtaking Michael Chase on the last lap, well, you could. And you could still be in the points championship, even if you start next week or the week after that or the week after that. And of course, like we were just saying, there's always draws going on. And if you're more of an endurance racer guy and you want to put together a team, well, we've got endurance season after that. And there'll be a prize for each race winner and a prize for the points champion there too.
I want Andy Cosick to run the endurance season with these kids. Let's peer pressure. I don't think we need to peer pressure Andy into that. I think we need to peer pressure his kids into participating in that one. Tiny bit more traffic still going on for the pursuing pack. Michael Polasek 6 seconds up the road from Paul Darling as he flies over the curb. Jared Collins flies over the curb. Michael Chase flies through the curb, and JD Daniel, I think, is just part of this as well, trying to make sure he doesn't lose time amongst these cars. Cameron Senhauser being one of them. I can see Puxel and Fox just back there as well, with Gareth Nyland too. Fox looking down the inside of both Nyland and Puxel, and maybe just going to lean on Puxel a little bit. Does get ahead of Gareth Nyland. It's looking for Puxel to yield, and Lincoln Fox gets ahead as there is a Salem's car smoking its hot dogs at the end of the back straight just back there.
Any advertising's good advertising. We'll see it here. Gets deep in on the brakes, turns it in, and it's just a little dirty on the outside of the track there. But, 5-second rule, I'd pick that one up.
Yep. Yeah, big believer in 5 seconds. So I'm seeing 7 laps to go as the predicted laps remaining with the amount of time that we've got where your race leader Michael Polasek is and the pace that they're doing. Still lapping very quickly in sort of 1 minute 40s, 1 minute 41s, basically near exactly equal between Polasek and Darling on the last lap. So Darling's going to need some help, or he's going to need Polasek's low fuel light to come on early to ignite some hope.
Yeah, there was a good bit of pushing going on between Chase and Darling there for a bit, but Darling got tired, it seemed like, and just dropped out or jumped out on the straightaway, perhaps realizing it was time to stop collaborating and start racing because that gap just wasn't going down. Either way, we've got a battle between 2nd and 5th and one to watch for the rest of the podium, and we'll see. We'll keep an eye on Michael Polasek at the front too, because it can be a little bit tricky with a lot of the traffic out here.
Nyland and Pucktel leaning on each other a little bit through these S's as well. No one wants to yield, but it looks like it's going to come out in Pucktel's favour here for 7th place. Lincoln Fox has gotten past and cleared out beyond these two guys. So there was a time that Pucktel and Nyland were battling for the lead. They are battling for 7th, and quite ferociously as well. Lincoln Fox is the driver up into 6th.
Yeah, Lincoln has actually had some pretty dang good pace. At times, he's been the only guy on track faster than the leader. Real shame to see just that lapse on the exit of 2 that got him facing the wrong way. But I have a feeling we'll see more of Lincoln Fox this season.
It's an interesting thing with starting with this car, though. As we've said, we moved to the BMW M2 and the Toyota GR86, and we see all of them some season. Is the form that you see today is not necessarily how it's going to look all season long. This is a particular model of car and style of racing that has its big fans and its specialists, and it is another thing to drive the other cars that we're going to see in this season. Fox gets plenty of that curb, but still 5 seconds behind the battle for the podium. Paul Darling is laying it all down. Jared Collins, Michael Chase, and JD Daniel might get some itchy feet in a second if there's not a bit of progress being made here. car's advertising a podcast. What's the podcast?
Ooh, I'm trying to see it. My peepers aren't that good.
Into the Paddock. My favorite podcast is Inside ChampCar.
One more season and a movie. Come on.
And my favorite hot dogs are Salins. My favorite fire suppression is Lifeline. And I sure do love buying tires from TireRack.com.
Here, here. One guy who might already be thinking about the shout outs to the sponsors is Michael Pulasic, but there's still a lot. A lot of time, just a few more laps left to go. But he's repping that G-Force Racing team pretty well. Impressive showing here today. Has felt in control. You know, races with Rockwell Autosport in the real world, and does pretty well in those Porsche Boxsters. And by the sounds of things, they might occasionally show up in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge too, once in a while. So I'm not sure if it's him behind the wheel.
It's getting towards crunch time at the Speedway for the opening round of ChampCar iRacing Series. It's getting towards crunch time here for JD Daniels. He's made a couple of moves. A tiny bit of traffic from Aaron Reed has maybe presented an opportunity for him to dive past Michael Chase and into fourth position, but I feel second, third, fourth, fifth, all spreading out a tiny bit further. The yellow bumper up there in second is Paul Darling. Jared Collins, difficult to miss. That's the point of the safety chevrons on the back of Jared Collins' machine. JD Daniel needs to defend in towards turn one. Michael Chase has got a bit of a run back at him, but he'll hold fourth for the moment. 4 more laps is the prediction. Polisek's lead shrinking. It's gone down a second in the last lap and a bit. How about we take a look, listen, see how things are going for Mike Polisek.
Trying to hear it.
Well, it's smooth with the hands, which is important.
The throttle pedal is soft, but it doesn't sound. We'll listen here. There's no lift there. So
Lots of downshifts quickly to get some rotation into the car here as well. So that's what Polisek's up to. Yeah, I think definitely 3 more laps now with the 5 minutes remaining. Speed of the laps that we're doing.
Battle for 4th and 5th getting a little spicy. JD Daniel had a bit of a moment going into the final corner, and is now running side by side with Michael Chase all the way down the front straight. A little bit of extra momentum for Chase on the inside, but JD's looking for that side draft. Who's going to dunk first? Oh, JD plays it well. Guy on the outside can break later, and he does. Nicely defended. And these battles are starting to form up. We're battling for 4th and 5th, 7th and 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. I think we'll have plenty of action here coming to the end.
Plenty of action, no doubt. Here's Ryan Pucktel and Gareth Nyland. Fox losing a bit of time in the first part of this lap, maybe turn 2, bit of a bogey corner. Nyland right at Pucktel's rear bumper and perhaps pushing as well.
Yeah, giving it a little push. It's interesting. maybe thinks that Lincoln Fox might be within reach.
And behind that, Jordan Probst with Kyle Robertson and Ryan Carwile. And they're pretty close here.
Yeah,
Carwile ranging up on this.
Yeah, I was going to say, Robertson and Carwile pretty experienced in the series. Probst a little newer. But all three of them showing pretty good pace today.
Exciting time for race leader Michael Polasek. 3 wide across the start-finish line, though. Ooh, it's not gone the way he was wanted. These guys are battling each other for position. With 2 laps to go for Michael Polasek. He was 3 wide, but had no slipstream and actually dropped behind in and amongst this battle. Now he's 3 wide again, looking to dive down the inside, looking to create a little bit of space for himself, but there's no momentum there with such a shallow entry. And will just go. Oh. The yield has caused a contact between those drivers.
Oh, and Lounsbury manages to dodge it. Yankee hits the wall, loses a bumper. Oh, that's a bummer, but just in the nick of time does our race leader get through there.
So Yankee has a bit of break there. Oh, and then comes across. He has got no momentum relative to the other cars, and if he was already slow, I think he could have stayed further left. Hard to say. Tried to do the right thing by the leader. It's all done is cost a little bit of time to Michael Polasek, but it's the same drivers that everyone else is going to have to work their way past here as well. Be coming to the white flag.
Darius Goodman trying desperately to stay on the lead lap.
Or will he? Look at the time, 1:50. We're doing 1 minute 40 lap times. 1:40, 1:39. The white flag is waving. Barney at the flag stand over the yard of bricks is calling the last lap. It was super touch and go, I think, but I definitely saw a flag waving, and it would be the white flag to indicate 1 more lap for Michael Polasek, and I don't think he could take 1 more lap of this.
Oh, a little bit of contact from a lapper. That's Darius Goodman facing the wrong way.
You've heard of nominative determinism. Well, okay, here's more drama still for Polasek. They're on the brakes. They're coming to a stop in front of him. It's Pickett's.
Polasek is having to work for it.
This battle's all through the rest of the field, but this for the race leader is shrinking the lead down to 3 seconds or so. Paul Darwin clear away in second, Jared Collins in third, JD Daniel in fourth. But Michael Chase and Lincoln Fox are going to battle it out on the final lap here as well. Looking to go over-under. That's a superb move from Fox to keep Chase under pressure. And I think that side of the road is the one that's come out successful through this change of direction. Too much marbles for Chase. Dives back down the inside on Fox, and they remain side by side on the final lap until Lincoln Fox seems to get just a little bit more drive. Polasek's lead now shrunk to just 3 seconds, but expecting the checkered flag at the yard of bricks to bring to a close the first round of ChampCar iRacing Series in 2025 with the pole position, with the most laps led, and with a race win. Michael Polasek is starting the year in style.
Second place is going to go to Paul Darling, who crosses the line just ahead of Jared Collins, but it's 4th and 5th place we've been watching, and it's going to be that's Lincoln Fox getting Michael Chase at the line, Gareth Nyland, Ryan Puckdell, Jordan Probst, Kyle Robertson having to weave through some traffic at the end there, but gets it at the line on Ryan Carwile for 11th. James O'Brien exiting the final turn now. He's going to be just ahead of Ian Giebler as they drag race it to the line. A little bit too little too late though here from Giebler, and James is going to hold on to it. The next battle up, Jordan Butler and Aaron Brown are making their turn through the final corner. Butler was looking like he might have a line into that final bend, but didn't have enough at the end of it all. Bowie Thuin and Tim Wire are battling it out. Wire on a bit of a recovery drive after that long pit stop. He's going to hold off Bowie Suin as they come to line for 16th and 17th place. Wire making the move on the last lap. Nick Love crossing the line in 18th. Andy Kosick 19th. Josh Lucas holding off Logan Sennhauser for 20th. And then Bill Woods, Kyle Lockrow, Keith Gwinnett, and the Canadian Matt McGee finishing in 25th place, the last car on the lead lap. Good stuff out there, Haynes.
Yeah, pretty thrilling. First half of the race, inseparable. Back half of the race, Michael Polisek pulled a strategy masterclass on them. Perhaps Lincoln Fox was the only driver that could have stopped him, but spun on first flying lap after the pit stop, created a large gap, large gulf between Polisek and the rest of the field that they just couldn't quite overcome around the speedway. Let's run through that order once again. Michael Polisek from Paul Darling and Jared Collins. JD Daniel, Lincoln Fox, Michael Chase, Gareth Nyland, Ryan Pucktel, Jordan Probst, and Kyle Robertson as our top 10. And then Ryan Carwile, James O'Brien, Ian Giebler, Jordan Butler, Aaron Brown, Tim Wire, Bowie Suin, Nick Love, Andy Kosick, and Josh Lucas. Looking for on the lead lap was our top 25. So Logan Sennhauser, Bill Woods, Kyle Lockrow, Keith Gwinnett, and Matt MCG. Probably McG, I don't know. 25th still on the lead lap. Just off that lead lap was Sean Roberts, Colin Lounsbury, Orlando Harrell, Steve Hermé, Aaron Reed, John Nicholford, Cameron Sennhauser, Darius Goodman, Mark Kruger, Gene Sirota, Zach Balthazar, Carl Guillory, Christopher Reagan, Stephen Schaefer, and Patrick Persley. Was everyone 1 lap down, 3 laps down for TJ Yankee, Brian Tidd, Cindy Pickett, and Bill Salen. Retirements, it looks like, for Jason Deal, Joshua Soto, Alex Patterson, Scott Grinnell, and did not start for Matthew Martin, with the race leader completing however many laps they did. I think Jason Deal is just short of the halfway. So we've got a lot of drivers already with their name halfway into the hat to get drawn for a prize.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about here. Have a little bit of fun on a Wednesday, have a little bit of good racing, and have your shot at winning a prize to get yourself in the seat of a real race car.
Let's see what of our podium we can get. A few of them are going to be standing by post-race. Always great to hear the thoughts from our drivers. Devon, you've been investigating, so where are we going to go first?
We'll drag up our race winner, the pride of New Jersey, Mike Polisek, putting on a show tonight.
Yeah, this
got you, Michael.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, this race was it was very interesting. First part of the race, I was just trying to feel safe, just hang back and let the top two fight it out. I could tell that those guys just wanted past me, and I was more than happy to let Ryan and Gareth lead while I could just simply say fuel behind them. And after the pit stop, it was just a matter of hot lapping to the finish. I knew that if I could just make my fuel numbers, I would have a pretty healthy gap, and that's what happened.
Looked like that pit strategy was working for you. We noticed that you were the quickest guy on the lane, and not just in the lane, or not just in the stopped portion too. You got a lot of experience doing some pit stop strategy there.
Oh, definitely. I've done a lot of endurance racing on iRacing, and I just started endurance racing in ChampCar as well. And I've had so much fun in that. But with iRacing, sometimes you just got to extend a stint, maybe 1, 2, 3 laps to make fuel targets work, especially if strategy goes off sometimes. So it's pretty easy in these cars, especially because the draft is super, super strong in these things. So it's just a matter of hitting your marks and making sure to lift and coast for as long as possible.
Well, it looked like a sure thing, but then in those last few laps, it got a little bit spicy for you as you were trying to deal with some of that lap traffic.
Yeah, the lap traffic at the end got a little bit dicey. Fortunately, everybody was pretty respectful, and I was able to get around almost all of them without incident. But yeah, it was pretty difficult to get around some of them, but fortunately, we all made it work and got out unscathed.
Well, a quality race and a quality result for you in your first race here. Got big plans for the season. You going to win a championship here? We calling it now?
I hope so. We'll see how the rest of the season goes, but this definitely gives me a lot of optimism. There's a lot of good drivers in here, especially Paul Darling. I remember racing him in plenty of other series, and he's a great, clean, respectful driver. So hopefully he and I will get a chance to mix it up on track.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you out, and thanks for putting on a good show. Anyone you need to shout out today?
Oh, definitely. First of all, my friends and family that support me in all these races. Thank you to ChampCar. I recently did the Sebring New Year's Eve double event, and that was a lot of fun. So I hope to do some more ChampCar this year. And thank you to you guys at Huge Ass for the broadcast. It's been a lot of fun to race in the series, and I hope to race more.
Pleasure. We look forward to seeing you out.
Thank you very much.
So also standing by from the podium, hopefully, we have third place Jared Collins. Do you copy?
Yep, I hear you.
Well, how's that one from your perspective? The difference in character between the first 30 minutes and the back 30 minutes of the race was pretty noticeable.
Yeah, it was really intense. The first 30 minutes was all about fuel saving. Fortunately, I was at kind of the back of the line, and accordion's really hard, and everyone's, coasting a good 2 or 3 signs further back into every corner. And then after the pit stops, just an all-out blitz. The draft lock on these cars are so huge that you gotta keep up with the faster guys. And I was hoping to stick on Paul Darling and kind of chase them and break the draft from the guys behind me, and I was able to do that. And then got some lap traffic, and JD was really hauling me down at the end. I didn't realize he got that close until we were going through the last corner. I was like, holy crap, he's right on me.
And what's the year in racing and sim racing gonna look like for you?
Hoping to do the full season of ChampCar. I really love this league. It's a blast. I really enjoy watching the broadcast you guys put on afterwards. We're building a new car, an Acura TSX. So we had been running an Integra previously. So hoping to get out maybe this summer, but realistically, we're looking at Road America as our first race this year.
It'll be super exciting. And what about the rolling cast of cars that we're going to see in ChampCar iRacing series this year? No Integra to TSX happening, but we're going to go from Mazda MX-5 to BMW M2 to Toyota GR86 to keep it fresh.
Yeah, I think it should be really fun. Obviously, the Mazdas, there's a lot of drafting and a lot of pack racing. The drafting so much. I'm really excited to see how the M2 does in this series. I think Daytona, obviously everyone's going to stay close together, but the other tracks, I don't think the draft is going to be important. I think the M2 has a lot more power, so people are going to spread out a little bit more. And then I really love the GR86. I just think it's a really fun all-around car. So I'm really excited about the plethora of cars you guys picked for this year.
Jared, congrats. 50 drivers for this opening race. You get a podium, and points-wise, you get a head start on all of them, bar 2. Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Just my wife for letting me have the night to race and have a good time. Thank you guys too for putting on the series. It's a blast. I really look forward to it every race. So thank you guys as well.
Awesome. See you in 2 weeks' time at Daytona, hopefully.
Yep. See you guys there. Have a good one.
With that, Devin, I say we don't have to wait too long for our next dose of ChampCar iRacing Series action. We saw the schedule 2 weeks' time, Daytona International Speedway. 2 weeks after that, Alton Park, and we'll have seen every car and we'll be well into the swing of the season. $2,000 of ChampCar Endurance Series credit on the line. I think we've heard from some of our podium getters that if they keep scoring podiums and they're the champion at the end of the year, exactly where they're going to put that prize.
Oh yeah, and there's no place better to get your real affordable competitive racing in North America. I'm so happy to be doing this again with you, Haynes, and I'm looking forward to a great season.
If you want to get on the grid with us here on iRacing, forum.champcar.org. At the top is the iRacing section, all of the information that you need there. And we look forward to seeing you again soon for ChampCar iRacing Series. I've been David Haynes with Devin Peters, Michael Derby on the production for us. What a ripping race with 50 cars on track at Indianapolis Motor Speedway to kick it off. We'll see you when the speed returns at Daytona.